So it's clear that we are watching the fall of the American empire in real time. And there is a stark difference in the way that the white community is responding and how the black community is responding. The black community en masse has completely withdrawn. They fought, they campaigned, they warned us, and we chose the orange man anyway. And they're out. The white community, on the other hand, is fighting, those of us who aren't under Trump's spell. And there is this real sentiment that if we can just get Trump out of the way, then we can all get back to normal. But the thing is, that's not what God is doing. And I'm not a nihilist, but we're missing the point. The point is this white supremacist system has wreaked enough havoc. Enough. And God is judging it. And the fact that we are clinging so hard to it makes me wonder, what does the black community see that we don't, that's allowing them to totally let go right now?
The inevitable is happening. The thing we as black people have known all along about this administration in power, how our rights were being infringed on, how the country would spiral, how women's bodies would be controlled, how education would be gutted, and how the rich would get richer and the poor would get poorer. Because the only difference between this...
You and I and everyone else who supported him, you wrote speeches for him, I campaigned for him, we're implicated in this for sure. But the question does present itself immediately, like, what is this? Was this always the plan? You don't want to be a conspiracy nut, but like, clearly there were signs of low character, we knew that.
There are aspects of his personality which are obviously not good, and that we've mostly just chosen to overlook. You know, he's not a moral man. He's obviously not the greatest husband in the world. You know, cost of American lives isn't the motivator. It's just that Trump has moved on to other things because he has the attention span of a gnat.
And
what American is this helping? Besides the industrial war complex, I just don't know. I don't understand. So yeah, that's what our president's up to, and it's fucking baffling.
Isn't you had a change in morality or a different point of view. You're just now impacted. And what a spineless way to live. You say to yourself, I'm okay if marginalized groups are impacted as long as my positioning as a white person is unchanged in this country. We knew. So when you ask,
what does the black community see that we don't, that's allowing them to totally let go?
We saw you. We saw our parents and grandparents fight for their rights as humans. We saw how at every turn, the only thing people in America, white American men, and those white American women who feed into racism and the patriarchy want is capitalistic system where black people don't benefit, women stay in their place, the masses remain uneducated, and America stays white. So yes, we knew. MAGA voters are speaking out against Trump. Farmers are watching crops rot because of tariffs, federal workers losing jobs they thought were safe, veterans seeing benefits get cut. But none of this is shocking because the policy didn't change. Their proximity to it did. This pattern is as old as oppression itself. If we go back to the Reconstruction era after the Civil War, poor white and black farmers were in the same economic boats, exploited by the same landowners, crushed by the same debt systems. They actually started organizing together. The populist movement was building real cross-racial working class power. But the planter class got panicked. They did not want poor people joining up against wealthy people. So they did what ruling classes always do. They offered poor white farmers something black farmers couldn't have: social status. The feeling of being above somebody. Jim Crow wasn't just about hate. It was a political strategy to break solidarity before it became a threat, and it worked. Poor white Southerners voted against their own economic interests for generations, even until today, because they were giving the psychological wage of whiteness instead of actual wages. Fast forward to the New Deal, FDR's programs of Social Security, labor protections, the right to organize were genuinely transformative. But to get Southern Democrats on board, they excluded the jobs black people were most likely to hold. Domestic workers, agricultural laborers, left out by design. White workers built generational wealth on those programs. Black workers were locked out altogether. But when someone says, the government used to work for regular people, it did. Just not all of them, and just not all of us. And these are the same sentiments of MAGA today. Ida B. Wells warned us. She said, a country willing to use terror against black people had already proven it would use terror as a tool, period. The weapon doesn't retire once it's done with one group. MLK said in the Birmingham jail, he wasn't just frustrated with the segregationists, he was frustrated with the white moderates who thought they could stay comfortable while injustice ran its course. Injustice doesn't run its course. Frederick Douglass understood that freedom, if it wasn't protected for everyone, was just a loan. One thing we know about loans is that loans get called in. But in this country, if we have built and defended the political infrastructure to protect minority rights when black communities were screaming that these systems were dangerous, everyone would have protections right now and rights today. Now we're watching tariffs gut the same farming communities that cheered trade wars aimed at protecting them. Federal jobs disappearing from the same towns that voted to shrink government because the cuts were supposed to hit someone else. The tools they're using on immigrants, on black voters, and now the white working class Americans, those same tools are now pointed somewhere new. You cannot outsource your freedom to someone else's oppression and expect to stay free. The only way any of us stay protected is if the system is built to protect all of us. America is in a very precarious place. And if we just believe black people, if we just granted black people equal protections and rights and freedoms under the law without the need for us to be in this centuries-long fight, then maybe, just maybe, we all would have adequate protections and not fall into a despot running our country dry while enriching his helm of billionaires. You ask black people, what did we see that you didn't see? We saw our story and our history. Stay black.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel once again. Thank you so much for always coming back and tuning in. So guys, I want you guys to just continue watching this compilation of video whereby really white people, they are really wrecked, because after really these American people voting for their own interests, black American, they really decided to keep quiet. And that's why these white people, they are really afraid of the black voice silent, because black American, they have been used to do the protest but to help America, but things are not really moving on well, because we have seen a lot of the American people really crying out. So this time round, they are really coming out and say that why the black American, they are really not complaining, why the black American, they are not really helping us because of what is really going on there. So I want you guys to just continue watching this compilation of videos, and at the end, then I come back with more comment. I'm your host, Team Tessie Commendally, and kindly, if you haven't subscribed, remember to subscribe, like, and also comment. Let's continue watching this video together.
White people are trying to figure out how and why black people have collectively withdrawn from this country, essentially.
So it's clear that we are watching the fall of the American empire in real time. And there is a stark difference in the way that the white community is responding and how the black community is responding. The black community en masse has completely withdrawn.
And it's clear to me that a lot of y'all have never been in a toxic relationship. And unfortunately, I have. Let me tell you how this goes. In a toxic relationship, you usually have one person who isn't shit, right? It's usually the man. And the man is, emotionally abusive. He is a cheater. He's a liar. He's a manipulator. He gaslights. He's narcissistic. But he also has a lot of potential, right? He also can be very loving. He also promises things to come in the future, right? He also can be very exciting at times. And those things keep the woman around. But when things are bad, shit goes up, right? Windows get broken, cars get scratched up, TVs get shattered, broken glass everywhere. Just a lot of chaos in these situations at times, right? And this goes on. These ebbs and flows, these ups and downs go on for years sometimes. But at some point, the abused party in his relationship just completely wakes up and decides that he or she is over it, right? And when that happens, there is no blow up, there is no broken windows, there is no shattered windshields, there is no scratched up cars. There's just calm, right? There's folded clothes, there's neatly packed possessions, and that person decides to go on about their business. And that's where black people are with this country at this point, right? Like, we're just sick of y'all shit. And we're not going to protest. We're not rioting. We're not doing none of that shit. You know what I mean? Most of us are just simply withdrawing, going on about our business and surviving like we know how to like we have always done since this country, since before this country was founded.
What did black people see that everyone else missed? That anti-blackness is a permanent, fundamental feature of every single modern society. People don't believe that they are voting against their own interests because in their mind, they are voting towards their own moral interests. And when their moral interest is rooted in anti-blackness, that is where you find what we have going on in this country. Black people watched non-white groups for decades reject progressive policy because having progressive policy and having everyone benefit it is attributed to the anti-black morality that they have in their mind. The concept that these things would benefit people who are lazy, people who are violent, people who are uneducated, people who are not useful to society. When they think of those traits, they think of black people. But when you poll in these southern states and you campaign on these progressive policies, they love it. They love it because it's going to benefit them, someone they find worthy of the help, and not someone they don't find worthy of the help, that being black people. That's why you commonly hear terms like welfare queen. Let's be so serious. When you think of a welfare queen, you're not thinking of an Asian person. You're not thinking of a white person. You're not thinking of anyone else but a black person. This is how voting works. People look at themselves and the related people around them as a group and everyone else as obviously not in that group. And so when they go into these voting polls, they go, what do I deserve and what does the person next to me deserve? And if they do not feel like the person next to them meets their moral standing of someone who is worthy of help, they will simply vote against the help, even if the help will benefit them as well. The true reason they are not for these types of social safety nets is not because they don't actually work within the economy, but it's because it is attributed to blackness. Blackness is laziness, poverty, violence, hypersexuality. The traits that we hate in society have been closely related to blackness in some way, shape, or form. We all know that progressive policy that benefits the black community is going to benefit the entire country, but people don't care about that. They care about keeping people who are below them, because they genuinely believe that the people who are below them deserve to be there because they have done some kind of moral wrong. Because these attributes are attributed to morality, when these people vote, they don't realize that they're voting against black people. They don't realize that they're voting against themselves. They think they're voting to benefit their own group.
Okay, go back and watch that video for full context of what I'm about to say, but please understand, I'm doing this as a twofer, so I'm going to be a little serious at first, and I'm going to end with something a little lighthearted. Still a fucking war crime.
Delicious war crime.
It's, oh, God. Anyway, we'll get to that. This gentleman asked what it is that we know for why we are responding that way we do. It's not that we know, it's that we have experienced. We already know what's coming down the pike. We have seen what happens when white supremacy meets capitalism meets stupid. This is not our first rodeo. We campaigned. We did everything we could. And when the time came that y'all said no, we went, okay. You know when you first learned to ride a bike and your parents are there holding you and, you know, I've got you, it's okay. And then they see that you got it and then they let you go. This is kind of that, but this is more y'all driving nuclear weapons into the ground. Like you just, and we just got to go, okay, because there's nothing we can do. You have made your stance. You have made your point. You have said outright, you are tired of having to feel as though being white is a crime. Although I don't know who the fuck said that except other white people. Because we didn't fucking say it. So, to end this, we understand that shit's going to get bad. We understand that prices are going to go up. And we also understand that there is absolutely nothing we can do about it. We also know that protesting would probably get us shot in the streets. So that's the other reason why we stay home. But I figured y'all should have known that, so I wouldn't have to cover it. Now, on to the war crime. So, I love my boyfriend. I do, with my whole heart. But he has tried to introduce some interesting popcorn flavors to me. On our trip to North Carolina, it was Chicago popcorn, which was cheddar and caramel. So, Friday, he comes over and he says, I have something that I think that you would like. Y'all can't read this because it's upside down, but this is Old Bay and caramel popcorn. See it again. Old Bay and caramel popcorn. My boyfriend brought this war crime into my house. So, I'm going to try it. Look at the smell. Oh my god. Okay. Alright. I love you.
Bigger. No, that's not. You don't get the full effect.
I have to
There's
say,
like there's like big chunks in there that 3-4 things that stuck together. You barely.
okay, is that?
Sure.
Okay. Okay. You are looking at me like, just put it in your mouth.
Just breathe it in.
All right, here we go. I'm gonna. Look like the farmer's market and the wharf had a baby. It was not a very pretty baby. You can hear from that laugh, this is a war crime. You know this is a fucking war crime that he did. Oh my god.
Give him back.
Hang on. This is vodka in it from last night. Oh my god. Oh. I love you, but goddamn no. No.
I'm gonna eat a bunch of it and kiss you.
I can live with that. I can live with that. But as long as I don't act. Yeah. See, in relationship war crimes, there needs to be a Geneva Convention.
It's a great question. I really do appreciate that he went ahead and he has the gumption to ask this question. But you gotta ask the question of how we got into a car accident to whom is driving the vehicle. Because America is a car and white people are driving. Okay, white people are driving and we see the road signs, we see the stoplights, and we say, hey, slow down. You gotta hit the brakes. This isn't safe. White people just do whatever they want to do. They're driving America, so when America gets into a car accident, you don't turn around and say, hey, what the fuck? You didn't let me know that there was a stoplight right here? Why are you blaming the people in the back? Who's driving? Ask the question to whoever the fuck the driver is, how we got here.
I can't speak for the entire black community, but I can speak with a surety for those whom I am connected with, both friends and family alike. And it's real simple. The United States has bad credit when it comes to us. If you went out to get a car and they denied you because your history of payment is sketchy, it's because you have bad credit. If you went to get a house and you could not get the loan because your history of payment is sketchy, it's because you have bad credit. Black people are tired because the United States has bad credit with us. For the years that we have been paying into this country, its return on our investment is...
You said it yourself, Chan. All of this, everything that's going on right now, my father prepared me for this when I was a child. White supremacy is cruel, and it runs deep in the heart of America, down to its foundation. And the Trump family has long had the power, money, and influence without paying any of the price to sustain their hold on America. What is it, like 5 generations of Trump have never served, and every generation in my family has served? There's a big difference. And we've known this, not just recently, for hundreds of years. And when we finally got a voice, we tried to warn y'all. We tried to warn y'all a long time ago. And the last time somebody really got y'all attention, y'all shot him. And the time before that, y'all shot him. And the time before that, y'all shot him. So if that's what y'all really want, that's what y'all got. Far be it from us to deprive ourselves of a spectacle, you know what I mean? Drink water, do better.
In real time.
What is and what should be is really hard for white people to distinguish between, because what is so beneficial to them. Because what do you mean? What do black people see that white people don't see? Why are you inferring that black people have not been sharing this information, shouting it from the fucking rooftops forever? Black people have been telling white people, like, use your privilege to protect those without your white privilege, because the system will come for you eventually if you do not. And then we're fucking surprised when it happens. We're like, what do you guys see that we don't? Common sense is just so fucking dead these days. Like, it's painful. White folks are still romanticizing the United States. They either believe that it was great and it can be again, or that it can be in the future. Black people see very clearly that any system that was built on the exploitation of a historically marginalized community can never be great. Because the truth is, on November 6th, black people woke up and not much changed for them. Okay, black people woke up and they were like, all right, I guess we're just going to keep doing the same thing over and over again. And white people woke up on November 6th, 2024 in a fucking panic. Like, oh my God, what's happening? I've never had to experience this before. I've never felt this kind of fear. I've never, like, what do we do? What do we do? And the world has to stop for that. And even though black communities are stepping back and prioritizing their own well-being in terms of resistance right now, they are still offering guidance to white people for how to effectively fight the monster they created. They are giving you a whole bunch of recommendations on how to do that effectively, and white people keep ignoring it. They keep trying to do things their way, as if their way has worked at any point in the last 250 years. White supremacy is a cult, and white people are not going to leave it until the cost of maintaining membership with the cult is more than the cost to leave the cult. And unfortunately, that requires a lot more hurt. White people are going to have to experience a little bit of the pain that the system has been inflicting on communities of color, specifically other marginalized communities in the world as well. They're going to have to feel that. They're going to have to feel that. And the consequence has to be there for them to just finally wake up and see what black people have been telling us all along.
I'll tell you what I can. Black people are resting. They thought we had more fight in us. Literally every other country that's been through even remotely similar, like at the beginning of everything, has risen up. So what I presume, fellow pastor, currently I am a minister. I have been a pastor. The thing is, listen to black women. Listen to black women. I'm going to say it one more time. Listen to black women. It's not just that people of our skin tone voted for Trump and all those guys, Republicans again. They don't see us as having fight. I don't either. Now, I'm going to be straight up with you. I am nervous at any sort of conflict. I'll admit, a little bit scared. But if you're feeling really scared, start getting people to speak about rising up. Start getting people in your community to organize and actually organize and be actionable. Start speaking more about it. Nobody that's resting is going to get off their tail unless they see some action, because they are the first ones targeted. There needs to be a whole bunch of people, white people, saying that we are going to be in the front lines. Back us up. Scary, isn't it? I bet you'll chicken out. They do. Right now, people are too comfortable. They're too afraid. We're not even remotely angry enough about school shootings. What makes you think we're angry enough about the pedo-in-chief? Like, if you could, but it would cost you your life, would you? Would you? That's the question they already have the answer to. They haven't seen any action. They've seen people in costumes. After they've endured so much, they've heard from their ancestors, their parents, their grandparents, about the things that happen. They've read about things that are suppressed and not taught to them. So that's why they're resting. They think all of you are cowards. Real talk. It's hard to swallow, isn't it? But what kind of ally can you really call yourself if you're not going to be on the front lines with them, if not in front of them? Would you trust somebody that you know won't show up? Like, they'll talk a big talk, but they won't show up in the moment. You gonna trust them? Would you trust them to protect your children? So yeah, you want to speak up about it, start speaking up about it and getting other people to do the same. Until then, just kind of stay silent about, black folk. I love all of you. And as always, stay amazing.
Hello guys, welcome back. I hope you have just watched that full message, how really these people, how they are really being wrecked because they have been used, the black American, to fight for them. And this is not our game, because the black American, they always want them. And that's why when these people really came out and said that why the black American are not fighting for us, we always remind them that we told you to do this, but you didn't follow that. So you remember these policies, American, these marker people, they are the one who really voted in for these policies. They are the one who really brought in this yellow man to the power. And this is not the first time, it's the second time they are really doing the same mistake. So they are now coming out and start crying how black American, they are not showing up in street, because these was people, the black American, they have been always in front of the criticizing the government, always on check of the government in terms of their protest, in terms of the coming out in press conference, criticizing the government. But black American, they really decided to just keep quiet. So just keep quiet, this keep quiet, it has always made these white Americans really come out and really say no, because they have now realized that that protest, that a black voice speaking, it was really good for them. It was really helping the America so much. But it now reaches a time that these black voices, they have really gone silent. They are not really talking anything because they want them and you didn't. So if somebody have really given you a warning and you are not really following that, it's really they could think, they could, the next move, you just keep quiet. And that's why now they are now coming out and start crying out how the cost of living is hurting them and why they cannot really manage, or why this white community, they are not really protesting and the black people were always doing the same. They elected their own interest. They voted in for these policies. They really voted in for the deportation. They really voted in for their money, billions of taxpayers' money taken from the United States of America, sending to the Israel, sending to another nations, because Donald Trump was not a cool leader. It was really used to, and that is now the consequences, because this man was really voted out. Then you are really returning him back. That is the wrong, and that's why now the black American, they have been always what. And one thing I normally sit down and just start thinking how the white folks, the way they really panicking towards the black American, because wherever the black American, they are really silent, they start panicking, and they influence so many people, like also the Latinos join the system, and they voted that this system is not for they are not whites, so they really join this system, and this system turned also against them. So you can just see the force of the black Americans, how really God love black America. I would normally say that this is the true Israelites, and they really vote for this nation for so many years. The way America is here because of the black Americans. But one thing, these West people, they always benefit from the system. That is the only thing that I normally say here, because always benefiting from the system. That's why always the black Americans, they are really against this system. They want to break this system of the inequalities. And that's why now their leader, Donald Trump, is now nowhere. Wherever Donald Trump is going, nobody is caring him, because recently he was in China. He was humiliated in China. We saw him begging some of the world leaders to really save him, because nobody thinks are really not good for them, because Donald Trump is always a pressure leader, always a chaotic leader, always a leader who cannot really listen, because when you are in terms, when you need the critical issues to solve, you need the critical thinking. But look, the advisors of Donald Trump, advisors of Donald Trump is not really advising Donald Trump, and that's why he is nowhere to be seen, and that's why always the cries of the American is on him. And we cannot really say that Donald Trump was bad. The people who really make him to be the leader is the marker people. So marker people, you have to pay for this. So this is your your repercussions you are really getting from paying, not listening, because you are being warned that these people will not really help you. This guy will not solve the issue of America. This guy will not really make American create. This guy will make American to follow. But you didn't listen. And that's why this is now the consequences of really voting in a person you don't trust. Because nobody really trusts Donald Trump. Even internationally, like Iran, like China, they don't trust this man. This man is, you cannot really trust Donald Trump, because this man, he is always against. He cannot be advised, and that's why things are now on their way now. People are really coming out and saying that we miss Obama, because they remember what Barack Obama did to the American. He left the legacy, but what the legacy of Donald Trump really left in America? He will left the legacy of deporting immigrants, the legacy of destroying the American economy, because America being the one of the is the highest number one richest country, but looks now where it is, because we have seen also the third world country competing with United States. That is the state of how Donald Trump really putting in America. Thank you so much for watching me. I want to hear from you guys about this video from the white community coming out and start complaining. I'm your host, Team Tessie Commendally, and kindly, if you haven't subscribed, remember to subscribe, like, and also comment. Bye for now. See you in the next one.